Earlier this year, I had an opportunity to visit the Pacquiao people in Chiang Mai in northern Thailand. This is a story about how rice came to save humanity. The Pacquiao people shared with us stories of spirits that exist among us, imbued in the air, in the water, in the trees, in the soil, and most importantly, the rice. A long time ago, these spirits were alarmed by the humans that were dying around them. Poor humans, they said, couldn't make food on their own. These spirits held a council meeting, and at this meeting, rice put its hand up and offered to give itself up so the humans could be fed. It recognized its own regenerative impulse to bring forth new life through sacrifice. Today, the Pacquiao people grow rice as a rite of passage. It's not about business, it's not about growing rice for money. It's not about growing rice for survival, for there's enough to go around for everyone. It's about growing rice to honor the sacrifice that it made for them, the sacrifice that it continues to make for us. After this trip, I was plunged back into my work. I work with corporate sustainability professionals trying to motivate them towards regeneration. You can imagine my dissonance, the dissonance of having experienced this way of looking at the world as me part of nature, and the buzzwords of sustainability like ESG and CSR and impact reporting and different scopes. We've been doing this for many years and the climate hasn't noticed. I believe the problem stems from the story we're telling ourselves about the role of business in our lives and the story that we're telling ourselves about our place in the world. Even the most forward-thinking businesses I've worked with are limited by the need to grow profits, but we can't, at least not in the traditional way. We can take inspiration from nature itself. Take a barren piece of land, sow some seeds, and the trees grow fast for many years and then they pause. The whole forest ecosystem comes together in millions of interconnections, and from these connections comes new life. A biodiversity, a plethora of new species of plants and animals, different shapes and sizes. There's sacrifice. The trees have to stop growing. But that's how forests can grow. That's how new life can come through. Most cultures around the world have had rites and rituals to honor this sacrifice. The word sacrifice itself comes from the ancient Latin sacer, which means holy. Another word that shares that same root is sacred. It's as if by honoring a sacrifice, we hold it sacred in our lives. It's by honoring sacrifice that we ourselves are held sacred by the world. And we think we've let go of these rituals, but we call them negative externalities in our world, and we put them away on a spreadsheet, never to be looked at again. And that does not sound sacred to me. What if instead businesses told another story? Because businesses are good at utilizing limited resources, bringing through different communities of shared interests, but different interests as well, towards long-term value creation. What if they told the story of regeneration? Because regeneration is already happening. Nature wants to regenerate. The trees that shed leaves every fall only to get them back in the spring. To our own bodies, countless living cells that regenerate every day. We saw this too during the pandemic for those of us who were fortunate enough to live indoors. When we let go of trying to fix the world somehow, life found a way. It came back. I believe if you're ready and you're in a place to make decisions, magic can happen at the center of three questions. One, what does the world need? As a business, this is about your why. This is what differentiates you. It's about what did the world look like before you existed and how your product is contributing towards building a better world. Two, what do your stakeholders need? This is about going beyond your shareholders to look at your customers, your employees, your investors, and nature itself. It's by transformation through listening. As most of us aren't business leaders, this is also where we hold the most power. This is where we have leverage. Finally, what can you do as a business to honor the sacrifice? It's going beyond just acknowledging that there are sacrifices, that there are costs, but to actually repay, rebuild, and regenerate the world around us. And the best part is, purpose-led businesses like these do better and outperform their competition. We've seen this from companies like Alipay, M-Pesa, Unilever. Alipay grew from 100 million users to 500 million users today and has grown 300,000 trees in the Gobi Desert in the process. Unilever's share price has grown tremendously in the past few years since it implemented the Sustainable Business Living Plan. And yet, researchers like Alex Edmonds, who wrote Grow the Pie, remind us that profits are a byproduct of creating long-term value. Businesses that come together to unite stakeholders and create value for them do better in the long term. Now, if you are ready and need help, because we all do, I believe there's a lot of help available. This is a constellation of different ventures, social enterprises, NGOs that are building away at this problem. It's available from my workplace at Handprint Tech. And none of us are going to get it right. And the idea is to get it approximately right together. And if you're not a business leader, Project Drawdown has published under the series, Every Job is a Climate Job. They list 80 or so climate solutions that can all be scaled up today, and what you can do in different roles to bring climate action into your own work today. And if you are a business leader, one of the fastest ways you can make change is by representation. It's by inclusion of voices that are at the margins of society. These are already communities that are facing the harshest effects of climate change. And if you're looking to tell a better story, if you're looking for a purpose, I encourage you to fund these grassroots communities themselves. Thousands of NGOs around the world that are looking for support to scale up. It's a much better story to tell, and it brings you closer towards building a better home for all of us. The best part is because nature has a strong correlation with well-being, it also alleviates us from a lot of mental problems that we're seeing in society today, bringing us closer to home. One of my favorite koans, a koan is a nonsense statement designed to show you the limits of your logical mind. One of my favorite koans is, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. This for me holds the mind of a regenerative leader who is able to see the long-term value, and I hope all of you can today. Now, while you're building away this problem, you're going to face a lot of resistance. So far, the evidence is overwhelming. This summer, like the past few summers, has been the hottest in our history and likely to be the coolest in our future. We're seeing unprecedented nature loss, loss of forest growth all around the world, and loss of biodiversity so much that we're going through a sixth mass extinction. We're unlikely to meet our climate commitments or the Sustainable Development Goals. At a time like this, what helps me is to remind ourselves of our collective ancestry. John Seed, who is a renowned environmentalist, put it best: it's going to take a miracle. And we tend to put away the idea of miracle in our world, but it was a miracle, he reminds us, that a fish chose to leave water and walk on land. Well, with a pedigree like that, how can you lose hope? Thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk.